Cool. So we just created an API route where only logged in users can create a post. Now let's set up an API route where you can delete a post, but remember it should use our policy where you can only delete your own posts that you're the author of. So let me show you what I would do. Back in our api.php file, I would just create a new route. So route : and this would be a delete request. Semicolon. And let's say, like quotes slash, maybe like delete post slash, and then curly brackets, just post. Like this would be a number like, 30 or 31, whatever ID you're trying to delete. Okay, but then comma, an array, we would call a method on our post controller. So post controller : class, comma, let's make up a function name or a method name of like delete API. And then here's the really, really cool part. At the end of here, we're going to call middleware. And then for the value, we're going to say quotes auth : sanctum. And then after the quotes, comma, and then quotes can : delete, comma, post. So this is going to use our policies for posts that we already defined earlier in the course, right? If you're the user or if you're the author of a post, or if in the database you're flagged as an admin account, then you can delete the post. Otherwise, you can't just go around deleting other people's posts. So let's save that, and now let's go create a method on the post controller named delete API. So in our post controller, I would just find the existing delete function. For me, it's around line 38. You could literally just duplicate that function, and then on the duplicate new copy, just change the name. We named it delete API. The only difference is, instead of redirecting because of, the context of a web browser, you could literally just return the word true. Or like, post successfully deleted. Let's go ahead and save this. And now if you look at my Brad profile, imagine I want to delete this post that we just created through the API. So it has an ID of 29. So let me go back to my profile so we can refresh when we want to see that it got deleted. So back in Insomnia, I would just create a new HTTP request. Let's give it a name of like delete post. Instead of a GET request, we would put this to a delete request. I would grab the address bar just so I don't have to type it in. And essentially it would be, your domain /8000, and then it would be /API /delete-post / and then imagine I want to delete the post that has an ID of 29. Cool. Now, we don't need to include any sort of body, but we do need to include our bearer token. So back in this tab, that's where I can just, select that token, copy it into my clipboard. In the delete request, you would just click on auth, bearer token, paste that in for your token, and click send. We see a value of true, so if you go back to my Brad profile, as soon as I refresh, this post will be gone. Beautiful. Now, let's practice and make sure that those permissions are actually in place. In other words, let's use our Barkslot account, and I'm going to try to use Barkslot to delete first a post that I should be able to delete. So like Barkslot should indeed have permission to delete this post called Being a Dog is Fun, and it has an ID of 25. So here's what I would do to test that out. So in this login test, you would just go into the JSON and just get a token for Barkslot. So just change this JSON for the username to be Barkslot. And my Barkslot account has the same password, so I just click send. That gives me this token. Now this token proves that I'm Barkslot, it does not prove that I'm Brad. So let's just copy that into our clipboard, the entire thing. You need all the characters in the token, copy that. In this delete request, now let me change the post I'm trying to delete to 25. Let me change the token to the Barkslot token, and this one should go through. So if I click send, awesome, we see true. As soon as I refresh, we should see that Being a Dog is Fun is gone. Beautiful. But now let's try something that we should not be allowed to do. So for example, like the Barkslot account should not be able to delete this post by Brad that has an ID of 28. This should fail, right? So if I go back here and I try to send a request to the ID with 28 and now click send as Barkslot, beautiful. This action is unauthorized. You can refresh. You see that post still exists. When I first saw that it was this easy to reuse policies and permissions, but from the perspective of tokens and APIs, I was amazed. I think this is so cool. Laravel could not make this any simpler. I just think this is a great example of the power of middleware. So literally all we said is like middleware auth sanctum can delete post, and that's it. That's going to reuse that post policy file that we already set up. It doesn't matter. We can reuse it from this token-based perspective. That is going to bring this lesson to a close. To recap, we set up API-based routes where you can log in, get a token, and then you can use that token to prove that you're allowed to create a new blog post and delete your own posts. With just these basic concepts, the sky is the limit, and you can now set up all sorts of amazing API endpoints for your Laravel applications. Now, we're really going to change gears. In our next lesson, we're going to learn how to set up Laravel in a Linux environment. Now, I realize not everyone has a credit card to test a real VPS server out on the internet, so we're actually going to use Docker so that everyone can follow along and practice and maybe learn a little bit about Linux and, pushing to a Linux box for free, right? I don't want you to have to spend even an extra penny right now. So that's what we're going to do in our very next lesson. Let's keep our momentum rolling, and I will see you then.